Hey guys, Matt and Jacob from Evolve Fitness. Now, I'm always for years been delivering these videos, and we've got a wealth of knowledge here as well that I really want to expose you guys to. So I've got Jacob to come up with some things that he specialises in, or things that he thinks that most people don't quite understand correctly or know, and to bring them forward so I can kind of interview him, ask him, and over time start releasing some of this stuff for you guys. And plus, it's not just me in a camera, which is great. I think everyone would rather look at Jacob. This, what we're talking about today, is Eccentrics. So I'll give you a little bit of, tell them what we're going to talk about, and then I'll ask the questions maybe that they wouldn't understand to get you sort of break it down.
So basically, eccentrics, meaning eccentric contraction. So in a muscle, there's three types of contractions. There's isometric, which is like doing a wall sit. It's probably an exercise a lot of people know where you're not moving, but the muscle's contracting. You've got your concentric part and your eccentric part. Okay, so concentric is, Matt's alluded to it a few times now, but basically the shortening of the muscle, then the eccentric is contracting while lengthening. But eccentrics have so much to them that a lot of people sort of don't understand fully.
Absolutely, absolutely. So a quick recap on that, I think I've said it in other videos before, I definitely have, is that eccentric is the muscle being under load while lengthening. So the concentric of a bicep will be shortening the bicep, the eccentric will be lowering that weight down, or a bench press will be lowering the weight down, so lengthening the muscle under load, which is where more damage happens than the concentric, right? But you got a really interesting study that I'd never heard before, and I loved it.
Yeah, so there's been some studies done over the years, and basically one that I found that stood out to me was one where they had a bunch of people and they walked up a flight of stairs, and then they had another group that walked down a flight of stairs. Now, there's a thing called an RPE scale, stands for rate of perceived exertion. Basically tells you how hard, like you rate 1 to 10 how hard an exercise was. So they got both groups to do this, and they found that the average for the walking down the stairs was a lot lower, meaning a lot easier, and the group that went up found it a lot harder. What they then did was took a bunch of markers, so blood tests, all sorts of things, looked at muscle damage, all that sort of stuff, metabolic markers, and they found that the group that went down the stairs, although finding it easier, had less metabolic stress. So meaning their body didn't react to it as badly as the people walking up. So, less byproducts like lactic acid and things like that.
Absolutely.
And then on top of that, they actually had more muscle damage though, due to the fact that the eccentric contractions were going down the stairs. Yeah, so every time you step down, you're lengthening the hamstrings, lengthening the muscles, and then they're contracting. So it's an eccentric contraction as opposed to walking up where you're shortening each step and concentrically.
Yeah. That is so, I love that, because there's something that we all say all the time, but that study everyone can relate to, right? It's harder walking up the stairs, but walking up the stairs is concentric. It's shortening that muscle. The heart rates will be going up, be harder work, but you're actually getting more an adaptation, like muscularly, on the way down, of lengthening that muscle under load. So that whole saying of no pain, no gain, or isn't it a load of rubbish? It's not training harder, it's training smarter. So and also you said something about the cognitive function.
Yeah. So there's some other studies that have been done. Basically, there's a couple of systematic reviews, which is where they get a bunch of articles, so they review them all, draw conclusions and sorts of things. But there's, I think it was the Dementia Journal, or Alzheimer's Journal, I'm not particularly sure, but basically what they found was that eccentric contractions take more cognitive function, meaning more brain activity. So, and it's pretty true, like if you think about it, doing the push on a bench press or on a push-up, you push up, just do it, like it's automatic, But then if you had to slowly bring yourself down, you got to really think about, okay, slow, don't give in, don't drop. Absolutely. And you actually have to really think about it. If you didn't think about it, you'd just drop back down. Yeah. And so that eccentric phase of the movement takes a lot more cognitive function if you're going to do it properly. Yeah. Or do it slowly, I should say.
Especially if finding time and attention.
Yeah.
If you're trying not to, say like doing a bench again, you drive up and you're not going to lock out. You squeeze slow. You really got to think about it, and you're like, right, okay, don't pause, come up now, don't lock out, squeeze and keep it going. Your brain has to activate the whole time.
Yeah, that's right. And they basically found that it's possibly a way of one, preventing, but also just slowing down the process of Alzheimer's and these degenerative brain diseases, because you're actually strengthening the muscle, using it, keeping it active, just like they recommend doing Sudokus and crosswords on it. It's a way of, if you're exercising, helping that, plus more blood flow obviously to the brain and all that sort of as well. So
100%.
yeah.
So that kind of, in a nutshell, guys, that lets you know that the whole train as hard as you can to get the adaptation, go hard or go home, is not always necessarily true. In fact, it's not true. It depends what you're doing. If you're an athlete peaking for an event and you're trying to peak, you're trying to get the most out of the most VO2 max, the most contraction of your nervous system or stimulation of your nervous system, then yeah. But that's like the athlete peaking, and even then they'll hold back just so they can peak on the day, right? For the average person, you do not, if you're walking around with rock tape everywhere and you work a normal job and you're not paid an athlete's wage of hundreds of millions of dollars per year, your training is meant to actually prevent injury and help promote adaptation. So you're not meant to be trying to put yourself under so much stress that the life has to move around your training. It's the other way around. Your training is meant to enhance your life. Right?
Yeah, definitely. Like quality of life is one, you know, like, I mean, concentric and eccentric, like exercise in general, quality of life will go up, and like there's so many positives for exercise as a whole, but eccentrically, another interesting point was they did a study where they found eccentrics are safer and better to use for people that are coming back from like heart attacks and like heart disease, different things like that, because it puts less metabolic strain on the body. So if you're coming back from something like that, you don't have to not do exercise. You can do low intensity eccentric work and it does almost next to no metabolic strain on the body, meaning it's safe, but you're still going to get the muscle effects, so the hypertrophy and
So to break this down for these guys here, what he's saying there is the concentric. So we all know if you push something, your heart rate goes up, it's hard work. But if you were to lower yourself down to things, and that only, you actually get more damage with the muscle, because more damage is on the eccentric than the concentric. So your heart rate doesn't go up as much, it's not as hard, it doesn't stimulate your nervous system as much, but it actually does more damage, and it's the damage and repair that causes the adaptation. So if you are something that like you have a pre-existing condition, rather than going there and push and get your heart rate up and worrying about it, maybe even starting anxiety, anything like that, you could do the eccentric loading. To spin out the other way, like I've trained people to be at an event at a certain weight, and we don't want them to put on too much weight. So I need to get stronger but not put on too much muscle. So I actually get them to do just the concentric. So they don't damage too much muscle, so still stimulate their nervous system, making them stronger, but they're not damaging the muscle too much, which doesn't get the damage and repair, make them heavier. So Jacob's saying the opposite. Get more of the damage in this case, so they get more of the adaptation without all the strain and exertion.
Yeah, definitely.
Isn't that cool?
It's pretty cool.
Yeah. So that's concentrics, the eccentrics, and we're going to bring more videos like this. Just have a chat and maybe pick a subject in chat, just so that we can try and educate people on some of the misconceptions and what.
Yeah, definitely.
So I've been Matt.
Jacob.
See you soon.